So my pond level is high enough that I'm satisfied with. I've added river rocks to the very end of this creek, a canal, and I've slowed the flow of water. I've slowed the flow of water considerably, and twice the dam upstream broke and I patched it, and now I got it where it's doing what I want it to do. Earlier the water was going so fast it was going around that way and that way. Now it's a slower trickle, and I'm going to show you why I decided to slow it. Well, the main reason it was going to be slowed down regardless of how high the pond was, because I want to keep water in it year round if possible. I don't want it drying up. I want mosquito fish to be able to live in it year round, keep the mosquitoes out of it. Y'all remember this tree just a couple of days ago being above water? I mean, it was in the water, but the tree trunk, most of the tree trunk was above water. Now it's below water. I don't know if y'all remember how close this boat was to the water, but it's closer. And you see water's behind that pole, not in front of it anymore. And that tree over there that I talk about, I'll get a better look at it at the other side. So now I don't have to feel bad about pumping water out of the pond to water my fruit trees and worrying about too much water is going to be taken from the pond, because it's at almost max capacity right now with water slowly but steadily trickling in. I've widened my bridge across the mouth of it here, and it is amazing how big of a difference that makes in comfort. Instead of walking across one board or two or three, just being able to cut across here at a diagonal, and just walk across. So much more comfortable. But the pond level has risen to where I want it to be. You see that fallen pine tree from the storms below the water now. I'm going to walk around here to the lowest point of the pond dam and show. All right, see, that's the tree where the water has gotten to here. I mean, water has flooded this whole valley during hurricanes or floods, but typically to that tree or a little behind it is the most this ever gets full of water. Hello, everybody. And so now, once water gets to about that tree, water will start trickling through here and pouring out that way. It'll go into that hole. From that hole, there's a tunnel under this hill, and it'll go under the road through a pipe into the adjacent property. I'll walk up the hill and show y'all. It'll go somewhere there, and it'll go into that pond up under the road. In the old days, before I owned this property, the water wouldn't go through. There wasn't a hole there. It would keep going to the back of this hill, and it would go around the edge, and then it would go that way. So tree roots from all these trees growing on the dam and probably made a path for water to flow, and then the hole got bigger and bigger over time. So I slowed the flow of it, and now bullfrogs like to breed in that puddle of water here. But if my pond gets too full, it'll flow here and flow off the property. And if too much water comes in this valley, it'll flow to this point and flow off the property. That's what this great project was about, was instead of having water rush as mud here and off the property, it would be diverted and go along that heel and go into the pond and then come to this point. And that's what I've been doing for 2 years. Every time I get some free time, I've been digging that trench in this hillside. But now that I got the pond full enough, I put a bunch of river rocks at the end of it to slow the, there's a crow. That bird that just keeps laughing. I've been wondering, what is that bird making that laughing sound? And it is the big woodpeckers. And it makes sense because Woody the woodpecker, the cartoon woodpecker, is always laughing. Those beer bottles, Alamo City's that way. And so my property is the first property before Alamo. So people drinking and driving throw their bottles out and they roll down that hill. I'm probably going to use them to, I don't know, I might melt them down and make stuff out of them, or I might use them to patch the dam. But this is what I'm talking about, the river rocks, where I slowed the flow of water. So it's still flowing, but it's slowed down because I've got mosquito fish in here. Put a good bit more rocks in there than I remember putting in there. I've also made more places to cross on foot. Oh, I need to level that board out. It must have been sliding a little bit every time I walk over it. It's finally, I'll probably just put a longer board there. That board ain't to step on. It's just to try to keep a little bit less leaves in here. At the ends of it, I'm not going to put any boards because I want sunlight for the mosquito fish, and I probably won't put any boards from here to here. But I want to put a lot of boards across it so that when water does come off this hill, these are scrap boards with nails in it. I don't want to pull all the nails. It's from a demolition. But I'll probably put boards from here all the way down to the other end. And when water comes down this hill, it can still go between the boards. It'll keep dirt from filling it in. It'll let animals cross across it easier. And then I'll keep this whole, the ends of it and the middle of it here, I'll keep it opened up for them to drink water. And like past here, there won't be any boards. I've terranced this up. I'm gonna put more clay around the ends to keep the sand from washing back into this point here. And I'm raising the sand I dig out of here, the dirt I dig out of here. I'm raising this. I'm probably gonna cut them trees out. Maybe put blueberry bushes. I don't know. Something. I'm gonna farm on this bank. There's a fig tree I planted. I don't know if it'll get enough light there. It might. I don't want to cut these trees out because it's a windbreak for the edge of the property. Some of them I want to cut out, but nothing on that side. I want to let some more light in, and then I'll have water's edge here, and it'll be easy to water vegetables and crops and stuff. Maybe a lot of fruit bushes, blueberries and strawberries and that kind of thing. See, it's kind of wet here, but the water's just seeping through the dirt, which is good, as long as it ain't washing away. So now all this water, see, because I've been wanting it to go as slow as possible into the pond. Oh, that turtle in that video that I released from that bucket, I put him in this water here. And I started thinking about it. I never actually showed him out of the bucket. So some people might wonder, did he really release him? And I did, but I put him right there. And I went to get my camera to film him going into the water, and he was just so fast. He went from slow to super fast all of a sudden, and he got in that water faster than I could record him getting in that water. And the next day he was over here. The next day is my little shelter. I got me a hatchet. I'm about to cut 14 8-foot poles from maple saplings and make me a teepee. Not out here in the woods where a tree can fall on me, but up there in the sunny area on the hill where the fruit trees are. But this is where I mine for clay. I mine for clay here. Like I'll bail that water out and I'll dig clay up under there. And then I'll leave. I'm building me like a Tenochtitlan clan over here, you know, with Chinoopas. Because this is a shallow pond that dries up several times a year. It doesn't stay full of water, but I'm going to dig it out deeper to where it will stay full of water. But I'm going to do it strategically. I'm going to do it in such a way that there are islands that I can grow crops on, and when the water level gets low, I can walk across. Like right there, you can't really see it because it's underwater. But you know, with my waterproof boots on, there is a path here that's a lot shallower than on the sides there and there, where I can walk across right here if I've got to. And then, you know, that's a little bit less shallow. That's about the same height as that path there. But I'm getting ready for when the level does rise. But I'll dig strips out to dig clay, and I'll build up this dam here. I'll do the same thing in several places. I'll dig it out, build the dam up to increase the capacity. But instead of having to haul all the dirt everywhere, I will pile it up in islands. And then in that hillside here, I will probably dig me a dugout in this hillside, because that hill can block the wind. And then the dirt that's excavated here can be piled up here to put another hill here to block the wind. Then I can put timbers across the top of it, and then have a tunnel where I walk along this ridge here, go up under the ground into the dugout, and back around that way. So I can just sit down right here. The cold wind's blocked by that hill. The pine, you know, straws raked down there to block wind there. I'll dig me a tunnel into the ground. I'll put timbers across the top so I can still walk across the top, but walk down into it. Got water there. I'll probably put rice in this pond. Eventually I'll get me some ducks out here, but I don't even know if I can have ducks. They might just get ate by a bunch of, you know, the fox or the raccoons or the weasels or something, you know. But maybe. Or I might just pin them up at night. I don't know. There's where the water that comes out of this pond, after I dug down to the clay level past the bog level, all that, I mean, I wouldn't drink it, but that ought to be pretty easy to filter through a grapevine and get it drinkable. I built a little house for dirt daubers and bees and whatever, but I did not bake all the clay, and a lot of rain come in. I was just messing around this day, just playing, really, building some nonsense over here. But anyway, with the turtle I released, he was over here the second day. And there's more alligator snapping turtles like him in the pond that I was showing at the beginning of this live. So he'll be able to find him or her, be able to find a spouse, a breeding partner out here. He's not just going to be a lonely turtle. His kind or her kind's out here. These artifacts I find. See, look at this. I find these old bottles. It's glass. Some of them are all the way glass. But then I find them glass with plastic lids, where when they started using plastic for Coke bottles and stuff, they started with the lids before they did the whole bottle. So like, dang, we don't want to drink that many microplastics. But it blocks the wind. So I manage the whole system. The woods give me mulch for the fruit trees and the vegetable garden. And then, you know, water is foundational. You gotta. So I put a lot of people, they would just go straight to farming in the dirt before really working out the water. But I spent a lot of time digging out and getting water before I started. So now that I've got all these fruit trees planted, I'm not gonna have to worry about not having enough water for them. And trees, water leaves the leaves of trees into the air. And water from the air condenses on the trees and drains down them to the ground. The older a tree gets, the more efficient it gets at condensing water. This tree is going to do a lot better than this tree at pulling water out of the air to the ground. And so now my property is shaped like a triangle. And this is a borderland between my property and J&K Creations property. My property line just flags at mark. Like there's a flag. Let me zoom in. So there's a pink flag there. So there's a flag there. It cuts a straight line out that way, and it comes across this way. And so I've gotten the water to flow the whole length of this side of my property. Well, not the whole entire length. It doesn't go all the way uphill that way, but it comes out to here. I've got two main hill ridges in this valley, and then it flows into the pond. And then the highest elevated land on my property is in the triangle at that end, where there's a dirt road this way, there's Commerce Street this way, Oxford Street this way, and it goes uphill on the other side of the pond. And up in the high ground is where I got my building, where I'm going to build my house, and where I have all my fruit trees. And now I have water flowing on most of this side of the land. Well, not much. That land over there, there used to be 7 acres of trees between here and J&K, and they were the older trees. My property's got the younger trees. All the big trees were over that way, and they clear cut 7 acres. And then on the dirt road side, at that end, they clear cut maybe 5 acres of timber. And so now there's a lot of wind hitting these trees that stretched up for light that were too close together, really. And the wind has been blowing a lot of trees down on this side and that far triangle on my property. So it's dangerous to even be in that area. Right now the wind's not blowing, but when it is, these trees sway back and forth, and randomly some of them will fall down. Over time, the trees that don't fall down, they will build strength to handle the wind, but they're not used to it yet. So little birds in the trees. And so and it's tangly vines, and it's a mess out there. That's a danger zone. I told Brittany, don't even be out there. It's gonna be a while before it's safe to be out there. Like even right now, you don't never know when the wind might pick up, or a tree's just damaged and about to fall. I've heard creek and the wind blow a little bit, pick up a little bit like it's doing right now. And then I just hear a tree come crashing down, and they're falling on both of them ends. These oak trees, I'm planting more oak trees, But I don't really want oak leaves falling in the creek because they have tannin in their leaves that could poison fish. The maple tree leaves are fine. The crawdad will eat them when they break down. Oak, but the maple leaves feed my bees. The bees go to the flowers for maple honey. Maple and blackberry are ready at about the same time, and that blend of blackberry and maple honey is just so delicious. So I like my maple trees on that account, but the oak trees, they feed hog and deer and squirrel a lot better than maple trees. So I want oak trees, but I don't want oak trees in the pond. So I plant most of them away from there. We had our first frost last night, and we've got another one tonight. And then it's going to warm back up for a little while. You can see that the pond level's up to where that tree trunk is mostly underwater now. I showed that in the beginning of this live, but go and watch the replay and it looks like a bunch of static because of the low service. I got a few little pond liners, little bitty water holes for watering things where I can pump water from the pond to keep them full. A lot of times the rainwater keeps them full, but sometimes in drought or in the summer, some of these peach trees have leaves. They're different varieties that have different chill hour requirements. I'm gonna let them crossbreed and plant the seeds off of them and let them just adapt to the area. Same thing with the blueberries. I don't know, I might have 7 different varieties of blueberries out here. Probably as many or more varieties of peach trees. But a lot of the peach trees after that frost, they drop their leaves. I don't know why this Florida King has kept its leaves through the cold better than these other ones. I would think it doesn't need as many chill hours. I would have thought it would have been hurt by the cold more than the rest, but it seems like they haven't. Now I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm in this triangle section of the land. I'll show you where they cut the other timber. Oh, I gotta call EMC about this tree though, because this tree's looking like it might fall on a power line or something. Or not this one, where is it at? It's out here somewhere. It might be that one right there. Another tree fell and scraped it, or that's just, I don't know, that might not be long enough to hit that power line. I ain't gonna cut it down. Maybe as it falls, them trees will get it come back this way and it'll miss them power lines. I don't wanna bother EMC for no reason, but let me come out here and, how tall is that tree? I don't know, I have to see about it. But after they cut all that timber there, and if I walk further that way, you can see there's a small section of pines, and then on the other side they cut more timber. So now more wind's been coming in here and blowing these trees over too. And this is another one of them things like the Matrix, you know, like I could have sworn there was another big ass pine tree thrown down in this corner, and I come back out here and it's not there anymore, and this tree's falling. I'm just like, what is going on? Unless somebody just come out here and cut up and stole one of my trees, which I guess that's a possibility. That's probably more likely than that we live in a simulation. But because the storm tore up so much of this timber and made it unusable, people have just started to clear cut it and start over, or they might be developing something there. I don't know. But you see, like further out, there's another, all over the county, they've been clear cutting large tracts of timber. And it's just made it a hell of a lot more windy. And you see, a lot of these trees were damaged by the hurricane, and now more winds blowing on them, and a lot of them are going to come tumbling over. But you see, there's Oxford Street, that dirt road, and then Commerce is on that side, and they come out, and almost my land almost makes an equilateral triangle. And where I showed that creek, that's the other side of it. There were 3 different demolished houses on this property, and sometimes I find the ruins. I found a big old mountain of a tree fell over and its roots pulled up some concrete blocks, and it turned out there was a mountain of broken up concrete blocks. I might wind up carrying them all the way to the pond dam. And then when the lizard. When I first bought this land, I'm gonna check the comments in the section. Let me see if I miss it. People saying hello. What's 9 plus 10 is 19. Is that bird? I'm still here. Oh, hello. Well, now you're not still here. Sorry I took a while to respond to the comments. But hello, everybody. And thanks. 9 plus 10 is 19. Jesus loves you too. I'm still here. Hey. Yeah. So, when I first bought this property, there was a rattlesnake that tried to, well, my dogs were in danger of getting bit by it. The puppy and the mama dog was barking at it and right up on it. So I shot that rattlesnake and turned it into my billfold. And I think the other rattlesnakes got the message, because I ain't seen another rattlesnake since. And it's been, I don't know, 6-8 years, something like that. That rattlesnake was 5 foot long without the head. I didn't think to measure it when I first killed it until I'd already cut its head off. But I was so scared that my dogs was going to get killed by that rattlesnake. And they were scared I was going to get killed by it too. Little Tay was freaking out about me walking near it. My greenhouse yesterday got flipped upside down 3 different times. The whole time I'm trying to stand it back up, it's the wind's flipping it back over. Because I didn't bury the flaps at the bottom in dirt like I was supposed to. And wind got up under there because it was too hot in there, because it wasn't winter yet, it was fall. And it was getting too hot for my coffee plants. So I said, I just ain't gonna bury the ends of it yet and let air go in there to cool it down. And that was a mistake, because the winds picked up, flipped it, knocked Brittany's pinwheels over, flipped over an orange tree and a peach tree, tore holes in it, bent the frame at the bottom. I gotta brace it with wood. Oh, I was cussing. I had to ask God to forgive me. I was irritated with that. I don't know where you live, but the AutoQuest lavender, the honeybees love it more than the other lavender. And it does good for this area. And I'm in zone 7B in Wheeler County, Georgia. Let's see. The frost hurt. It looks like the broccoli it didn't die, but it looks like that broccoli didn't like that frost, and it looks like the collard greens don't care. There's more peach trees. Most of the peach trees have lost their leaves. The olive tree doesn't look like it got hurt by the frost. Olive tree. Oh. I got all these clothes on to keep warm, and I've been walking around through the woods, and now I'm too hot. I'm gonna have to. I can only let them out while I'm in the area, because there's 2 hawks. One of them is a ridiculous hawk. It's like 3 normal size hawks. It's a gigantic hawk. I don't know why it's that big. Some kind of, and the hawks, he's dancing a little bit. First time he danced, I didn't have the camera on him. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. Everybody's here. Look, you can go. You can go. Ain't nobody. She don't want to walk past me. Look, you can't. Look, I'll back up some more. Let me prop this door open. I ain't spending my whole life waiting on this chicken. I gotta clean up around here. I let a lot of these weeds grow on purpose because the honeybees would go into these flowers. And I figured I'd just let them grow until they went to seed. Then I'll chop them down for mulch around the fruit trees. But while, you know, late in the year, there's not as much for the bees to eat. So I wasn't going to take it from them. So I let them grow all back there, all up here, all along the side there. I got outside with a machete and was going to chop them all down and saw honeybees going to them. And I said, I'll leave them. But now it's about time for them to go. There's a few flowers on them here or there, but it looks like the frost killed them. It's time to chop them up. I used to would burn them off most of the time. What's my favorite food? My favorite food kind of changes. I get tired of something and go to something else. I really love deer stew. I like, you know, I like pizza, spaghetti, and chili, but like really, I like roast beef. I really ain't a picky eater, really. I eat a lot of vegetables. I got a string on this, blew up on this pomegranate bush. Let me get that off there. I'm gonna have to get off that orange tree did really good in the frost right there. The last 2 years, which it wasn't a hard frost, but it seems like the tree's adapting to the cold. I had to cover it in pine straw and plastic. 2 years ago, it looked a lot more hurt when it would get less cold than it got this year. It's adapting. I'm gonna get off this live so I can free up my hands to get some more stuff done. Y'all have a good day. Somebody said that rooster was worth some money. And they were surprised I was eating their eggs. They said they were expensive show chickens. Somebody gave them away to me for free. So I didn't know. I'm still gonna eat their eggs though. I mean, I hatch them out too, but it's not time of the year for them to be hatching out any eggs. So